Let me start with a quote that changed how I think about money. Charlie Munger, the billionaire investing partner of Warren Buffett, was once asked for his best advice for building wealth. And he said, the first $100,000 is the hardest. He said, get it done no matter what you have to do. Because once you have that first 100,000, the game completely changes. Now here's the strange part. Going from 0 to 100,000 is $100,000 of distance. Going from 100,000 to $1 million is $900,000 of distance, 9 times further. So why do the people who actually reach financial freedom almost all say the first small chunk was the hard part and everything after felt easier? Hey, it's Sal. Today I'm going to answer that, because understanding it might be the single most important money lesson you ever learn. I'll show you how long it actually takes to save your first $100,000, the exact stretch where almost everyone gives up, and the moment your money quietly starts doing more work than you do. Stick with me to the end, because the last part changes how you'll look at every dollar you spend. And if this helps it click, hit subscribe, because I break this stuff down in plain English every week. Let's get into it. First, let's be honest about how hard that first 100,000 really is, because most videos skip right past it. Let me show you how long it takes to save $100,000 just by putting money aside and investing it at a normal long-term return. If you save $250 a month, it takes you around 16 years. $500 a month, about 11 years. $1,000 a month, roughly 7 years. $1,500 a month, about 5 years. And $2,000 a month, around 4 years. Look closely at that table, because there's a lesson hiding in it. The less you can put away, the more time it takes. And time is the one thing you can't get back. Now, here's the reality for most people. The median American worker earns somewhere around $50,000 to $60,000 a year. After taxes, rent, groceries, gas, insurance, and everything else that eats a paycheck, saving $1,000 a month is genuinely difficult. And if you have kids, a car payment, or you live in an expensive city, that number gets even smaller. So for a normal person, saving $1,000 a month means you're looking at 7 years of discipline to reach 100,000. 7 years of skipping things other people buy without thinking. 7 years of saying no while your friends upgrade their cars, take the vacations, and eat out 4 nights a week. That is why the first 100,000 is so brutal. It isn't about math, it's about endurance. You have to hold the line for years before you see anything impressive happen, and most people simply can't do it. Almost everyone says they want to be wealthy. They say it out loud all the time, but saying it and doing it are two completely different things. Because the process is slow, it's boring, and there are long stretches where it feels like nothing is working. That feeling is exactly where people quit. So if you've managed to save even part of that first chunk, understand something. You are already rare. You are someone who actually acts on a goal instead of just talking about it. So if you're going to do this hard thing, let's do it in the smartest possible place. My honest recommendation is to build that first 100,000 inside a tax-advantaged retirement account. For most people in the US, that means your 401k at work, especially if there's an employer match, and a Roth IRA or traditional IRA on top of it. And inside that account, keep it simple. Buy a low-cost index fund that tracks the S&P 500, which is basically the 500 largest companies in America all at once. You're not picking stocks. You're not timing the market. You're just buying a slice of the whole economy and holding it. Why a retirement account instead of a regular brokerage? 2 big reasons. First, the tax break. In a 401k or a traditional IRA, the money you contribute can lower your tax bill today, and it grows without being taxed along the way. In a Roth, you pay tax now, but never again, and every dollar of growth comes out tax-free in retirement. Either way, you're keeping money the government would otherwise take, and that extra money compounds for decades. And if your employer matches your 401k contributions, that is an instant, guaranteed return you cannot get anywhere else. It's free money, and you should take every dollar of it. Now, let me show you what actually happens inside that account over time, because this is where it gets interesting. Say you invest around $1,000 a month into an S&P 500 index fund, and over the long run, it returns about 10% a year, including dividends. In year one, you put in $12,000 of your own money, and your investment gains might be only a few $100s. That's it. You worked hard, you sacrificed, you stayed disciplined, and the growth is almost invisible. Year two, year three, still nothing dramatic. If the market has a bad stretch, your account might even be showing a loss. This is the part nobody warns you about. I call it the valley of despair. It's the gap between what you expected and what you actually see. You imagined your money growing fast, and instead, it's crawling. This is the exact point where most people look at their account, feel that sinking disappointment, decide investing doesn't work for them, and quit. And that decision, right there, is the single most expensive mistake in personal finance, because they quit one step before the magic starts. Watch what happens if you don't quit. Around year 5, something shifts. Your investment gains in a single year start to get close to what you're contributing. Your money is finally pulling real weight. And somewhere around year 7, your account crosses $100,000. That's when the terrifying power of compounding truly kicks in. It took you 7 years to build the first 100,000, but going from 100,000 to 200,000 takes only about 4 years. And going from 200,000 to 300,000 takes barely 3. Do you see what's happening? Once you climb out of the valley, the curve stops crawling and starts going almost straight up. Your results arrive faster than you ever expected, and the growth becomes impossible to ignore. Here's a way to feel it. Imagine you build that first 100,000 and then you stop adding money entirely. Not another dollar. At a 10% return, your account roughly doubles about every 7 years and roughly triples in about 11. So without you lifting a finger, 100,000 becomes 200,000, then 300,000, then it keeps snowballing. Now ask yourself an honest question. Can your salary triple in 10 years? For almost everyone, the answer is no. Your paycheck creeps up a few percent a year, if you're lucky. But your investments can grow in a way your income never will, because they're powered by compounding instead of by your time. Let me make the math dead simple, because this is the whole secret. 10% of $1,000 is $100. 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. 10% of 100,000 is $10,000 in a single year. Same 10% return every time. But as the pile gets bigger, the amount it throws off gets dramatically bigger. $10,000 of growth in a year is more than some people manage to save in 2 years of hard work. And here, it's being generated by the money itself while you sleep. That's why Munger said, get to that first 100,000 no matter what. It's the point where your money finally becomes a serious engine instead of a slow trickle. It's the point where the income from your assets can start to rival and eventually beat the income from your job. Now let me come back to why the retirement account matters so much, because it does more than save you on taxes. It quietly forces you to behave like a great investor, even if you're not one. Here's the first way. If you pull money out of a 401k or a traditional IRA early before retirement age, you usually get hit with taxes plus a 10% penalty. Now that sounds like a downside, but think about what it really does. That penalty makes it painful to touch the money, which means you're far more likely to leave it alone and let it compound for decades. And long holding periods plus compounding is exactly the recipe that builds wealth. The account protects you from your own worst instinct, which is to sell. Here's the second way it helps. In these accounts, you're steered toward simple, stable, long-term investing, not gambling. You're not day trading options. You're not chasing the latest hot stock. You're not jumping in and out. And that discipline matters more than you think. There's data on this. The group of investors with some of the worst returns tends to be young men. And it's not because they pick bad companies. It's because they trade constantly. The moment something goes up a little, they sell. The moment it drops a little, they panic and sell. All that activity quietly destroys their returns. A retirement account holding a simple index fund does the opposite. It keeps you still. And in investing, staying still is a superpower. And here's the payoff for keeping it simple. Over long periods, the plain S&P 500 index beats the vast majority of professional, actively managed funds. We're talking somewhere around 9 out of 10 of them over 15 and 20 year stretches. Read that again. By doing nothing more complicated than buying the whole index and holding it for the long run, you end up beating the highly paid experts, and you land in roughly the top 10% of all investors. You don't need to be brilliant, you need to be patient. The strategy is almost boring, and boring is exactly what works. Now, maybe you're sitting there thinking, or you don't have $1,000 a month to invest, or you can't drop a big lump sum in all at once. Good news, you don't need to. You don't need to be rich to start. Think about the money that leaks out of your life without you even noticing. The daily coffee, the food delivery, the subscriptions you forgot you're paying for, the little impulse buys. Redirect even a small piece of that into your account every single month, automatically, and let time do the heavy lifting. A modest amount invested consistently, starting today, beats a large amount you keep promising to start next year. Because the most powerful ingredient here isn't the size of your contribution, it's time. And every year you wait is a year of compounding you can never get back. There's also something that happens to you along the way that's hard to describe until you feel it. Building that first 100,000 rewires your brain. Once you have real money working for you, spending stops feeling as good as investing. You start looking at a purchase and thinking, that's a few more shares I could own, a little more of the snowball. I've felt this myself. There's a point where watching your assets grow becomes genuinely more satisfying than buying stuff. And once you cross it, saving stops feeling like a sacrifice. It starts to feel like a game you actually want to win. And this gets at the deepest reason to do all of this. The hard truth is that a salary alone will almost never make you wealthy. Your time and energy are finite. You can't work more than 24 hours in a day. There's a ceiling on how much of yourself you can sell. And it gets worse, because as your income rises, you climb into higher tax brackets, so the government takes a bigger slice of every extra dollar. Even someone earning a six-figure salary often takes home only around $6,000 a month after taxes. Trading hours for dollars is a treadmill, and the treadmill has a hard limit built right into it. So how do ordinary people actually break free? Historically, it's owning a business. But most of us can't just go start a successful company. Here's the beautiful part though. When you buy stock in an index fund, you become a part owner of hundreds of the best businesses in the country. You become a silent partner in Apple, in Microsoft, in every giant in that index. And your share of their profits flows back to you. While you sleep, while you're at your job, while you're on vacation, those companies keep working, and your money keeps working right alongside them. That is how a normal person with a normal income taps into the same wealth engine the rich have always used. You stop trading only your time for money, and you start letting money earn money for you. So here's the bottom line. Your time and energy are limited, which means a paycheck alone will never make you truly wealthy. But by investing, you become a partner in the economy, and your money works even when you don't. So do the hard thing first. Build your first $100,000 inside a tax-advantaged account in a simple S&P 500 index fund and start today. Because time plus compounding is what creates the magic, and you can never buy back the years you wait. Push through the valley of despair, the boring stretch where nothing seems to happen, because right on the other side of it is the moment your money starts making money and your life genuinely begins to change. If this helped it click for you, hit subscribe. I break down the money moves nobody explains in plain English every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.